As much as I knew the path to coming back home, it wasn't clear as to how perfectly laid out it was going to be.
I was like, I wish people could tell me what it really is like here.
But then when you're here, even though Ghana has changed from what it was, it's still, I feel complete. So I don't know what it is. I think it's a country.
Then I started to grow and understand that no, this is a different way of, everywhere you go is different, culture-wise, so you need to learn how to adjust, and I had to learn.
You know, and sometimes when you hear their stories, you're like, I could have told him that one word.
Those are the voices of returnees from the diaspora. Returnees to where, you may ask? Returnees to a country which is set to be Africa's fastest growing economy in 2018. Fancy leaving the diaspora? Want to return or relocate? This country's beauty alone could have you signed up immediately. The Republic of Ghana, a country with a population of around 28 million. It has a stunning Atlantic coastline found along the Gulf of Guinea, sharing borders with Togo, Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. Often referred to as the Island of Peace, it's considered one of the most stable countries in West Africa.
So we've just arrived at Kutika Airport. It's not as manic as I expected it to be, but by God, isn't it great to be on Ghanaian soil? I'm going to go and look for a taxi. My reason for being in Ghana is, yes, to visit family and friends. But 2 years ago, I'd done a documentary entitled Ghanaian Migration, a UK Perspective. And in this documentary, I explored Ghanaians who had left Ghana for a life in Britain. But now that I'm in Ghana, I cannot help but to investigate the reverse.
Understand the need and what you bring, the brain game, to this business.
Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. This JF Kennedy quote was one of the closing remarks heard at the Ghana Homecoming Summit in the summer of 2017.
With a country that has so much to offer, who are the Ghanaians that are doing what they can for their country?
What we require more than anything else is those that have had the experience in some of these industries that we have not had in this country to make sure we succeed.
All the politicians and government officials can use encouraging, inspiring words to speak to you and I about returning home. But there really is nothing like hearing the experiences from those who have actually made that leap. Tomorrow, my quest begins to hear from those individuals who will not only share some light on what their lives were like in the countries they have left, but more importantly, what their lives have become now having returned home to beloved Ghana. It's another hot and bright day in Accra, and I'm heading towards Airport West to African Regent Hotel.
The lady I'm about to meet is a British-born Ghanaian whose decision to relocate to Ghana has paid off. Her skills in animation, illustration have not only been recognised in Ghana, but also on the continent.
I was born in London, finished school, finished my master's in 2009, and I was just working literally in Marks and Spencer's as a sales advisor. I graduated as an animator, so I was trying to find a job in that profession, but I was getting the rejection door. Went to Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, all the other animation companies in London, I was getting all these doors shut in my face, and I was just like, you know what am I supposed to do? I got depressed for a while, so creatively, I wasn't doing anything creatively, but just working. And so my sister found an ad in Sparrow Productions looking for an editor. And she said to me, oh, sis, you should try this job out. And I was like, but I've never studied editing. I'm not an editor. I've just done, out school, we've just done basic editing. She said, just do it. And so I applied. Luckily, I was going on holiday. So I said I'll be in Ghana. They interviewed me and asked me, what have I been doing? And I said I'd worked, I've done some freelance for Channel 4, which I had done animation freelancing and MTV. And they were like, that's great, what about editing? And I was like, you know, sometimes you have to lie and blag. And I did that. I was like, yeah, I've edited for all these companies in England, yeah, great. So Ken Attor, who was my boss, and Shirley Frimpong, they were like, okay, great. So we would like you to edit a 30-minute an episode for us for our TV series. I was like, I've never edited, so I was like, my lie is gonna come and haunt me now. But because I had done basic editing, I knew the basics. So when I finished editing, they were giving me like 3 days to edit it, and I ended up taking 5 days to edit it. But Shirley saw it, and she loved it, and she was like, we want to hire you on. So I was like, okay, but I live in England, so how are we going to do this? She said, don't worry, just go back, sort yourself, but we really want to use you and edit. And that's how I ended up being in Ghana.
So that was a paid opportunity?
It was a paid opportunity. So I ended up being employed, and I worked there for like 2 years, and then I left, yeah.
So really, it was by chance that you had ended up in
Yes,
Ghana? It wasn't an intention to come here?
It wasn't an intention. My mind was just London, until my sister was like, there's an opportunity in Ghana. Why don't you take it? And I was a bit relaxed, like, oh, Ghana, moving to Ghana.
So I understand that your sister was supportive. What about your mum? How did she respond?
Back in the day, art wasn't seen. African parents were, if you tell your mum that you want to go into graphic designing or art, they're like, hey, graphic, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer. But my mother has always been about not dictating the child's destiny. We are very creative. You see our clothes, even look at your clothes, it's beautiful. And even the hairs that we do, cane rolls, how we express ourselves, even so much. So if we say that Africans were not creative, that's a lie. We are like more creative than from the West. But because of limitations, because of things that we go through with light off, with so many things, it can hinder creativity a lot, you know. But one thing I love about being here, we have to find solutions to that. And many of them do. Many artists that I know, they do. And that's why there's something like Chaliwote Film Festival, Art Festival, which is happening next week.
What was your greatest fear?
Well, when I first came to Ghana, back in England, everything is controlled. You know you're going to have your lights. You know your lights, and if your lights go off, you're going to be told it's rarely your lights go off. You know that you have internet. Internet is running. You know water is running from a tap. All of that is everything is all controlled. When I got to Ghana, everything was different. Lights were going off. I'm like, oh, where's my lights? I had no sort of internet, and water. Where I was living, the water running wasn't, done well. So I had to go to. We have a well, so I had to go and fetch. So it's all of that changes.
So you really got stuck in there.
Exactly. And then it was completely different. The way people think here is totally different from the way people think in London. So having to adjust to all of that took time. I mean, I used to fight with taxi drivers when because of my accent, they thought, okay, oh yeah, or fear broche, let me sissino. And you see, and you know they're cheating you. and then you're fighting with them. And I started to grow and understand that no, this is a different way of, everywhere you go is different, culture-wise, so you need to learn how to adjust. And I had to learn, and I learned how to adjust with people and how to get on, because some people, as I said, the way people think is different, and you have to understand that where they're coming from, where I'm coming from, you have to come to a meeting point. Some things that I was doing, behaving wasn't great for them, and for vice versa.
So you went into, I suppose, post-production. Yes. And now you're a fully fledged, I suppose, animator now.
I find it hard to define myself, because I rather call myself an artist and not define myself as an animator or an editor, because I do all of them. I illustrate, because I'm currently working on a children's book. So I like to just call myself an artist.
Talk about your animation, because you're actually using your animation to tackle social issues. So your most recent project is about skin bleaching. Where does that motivation come from?
Basically, it's about myself. And when I was growing up, I hated being dark-skinned. I had sisters, not light in your complexion, but a bit lighter than me, because my mother's fair and my father is like my complexion. And so growing up, I saw that people used to like girls that were lighter and used to favor them more, and girls, I felt like most guys appreciated the lighter complexion. And I used to, as growing up, my parents used to take us to Ghana, and I saw it apparent in Ghana that a lot of guys and a lot of people favored lighter complexion. And so I started to believe that this complexion wasn't beautiful. So at 23, I started using bleaching products to try and get myself fair. But then eventually, a friend of mine was like, hold on, what are you trying to do? And I realized that it was really stupid of me to try and eradicate the skin that I was born with. And so fast forward 2014, my little cousin who's in Ghana, she's very dark, beautiful chocolate skin. And she has a sister that is your complexion. And so the mother is light and the dad is the same. So she took her dad's complexion. And I was getting my hair braided one evening, and they came, and the hairdresser stopped what she was doing with my hair and went and rushed and said, wow, my cousin, who's a fair skin, is so beautiful. Wow, so beautiful. Her skin color is so beautiful. And she has European features, got a pointy nose. And my other cousin, who's dark skinned, was just sitting there and I could see that, I felt she was really uncomfortable. And so I asked the hairdresser, why didn't you say that both of them were pretty? Why did you automatically look at my... Yeah, I challenged her, and she couldn't explain. She was like, oh, and she just didn't know what to say. So later on that evening, when they were going home, my cousin came to me and said she wants to bleach her skin. Said she doesn't like her skin and she hates it. And I was like, why? Because then I understood, I went through that journey of not loving my skin. She said people call her black monkey at school, which is in Ghana, calling her black monkey. And then I said, you know what, because at that time I wanted to do another animation. I had done 2 animations prior to that, but I didn't know what to do. And so I wrote her a poem, and I gave it to her and said, like, read this poem, which was called Black Barbie. And it really helped her and built her esteem up.
And it was from there that gave you the stimulus to turn it into animation.
And because my dissertation back in my master's was about animation in therapy and how animation can be used to be therapeutic. Yes. And so that's what most of my animations are about. I'm so grateful to God about this project, because it's gone to almost 24 film festivals around the world. It's gone to London twice now. And it's gone to Nigeria, which is really great, about 5 times, because Nigeria's got the highest bleaching. A lot of people bleach in Nigeria. It's gone to India as well, which there's a lot of problems with bleaching. Exactly, and it's gone to one Western Caribbean country. So it's gone to a lot, and it's really a lot of people from the West, especially Caucasians, when they've seen this film, they didn't know about bleaching. So it's educated a lot of people. That's what I believe filmmaking should be about. I don't miss being in London as working there and, you know, going to a 9-to-5 job and stuff. I don't miss that. Getting letters and, you know, I don't miss that stuff. No matter what, home is home. And I've realized that, I mean, I've had the opportunity, the blessed to see both worlds, but to me, home is home. And to have that opportunity to come from London and come here and see two different worlds, it's very important. And for those that are from the diaspora, I would say come home. I mean, we have to better build up our Africa. We have to, and we've got the skills, we've learnt all of that. So it's important that we do come home. And you know, it's not easy. It's not, if I tell someone that when I came to 5 years ago that it was easy, it wasn't. It was a struggle. But you know, I don't regret it.
Comfort's story back at African Regent Hotel was not only inspirational, but also very encouraging. I'm now in Ajingono, and the lady I'm about to meet is in many ways very different from Comfort, in the sense that she was born in Ghana, she was raised in the States, and she's back in Ghana, studying her second degree in law.
I was born in Ghana, so I've always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to live in Ghana as an adult, just to live here, really, because I also I was sent back to Ghana to attend JSS, so I've always felt a connection to Ghana. So when I was ready, I came. And so the whole thought process, it wasn't like I had to sit down and evaluate anything. It was just like, I want to live in Ghana, I'm now ready to do it, and I just did it. When I lived outside, I didn't visit Ghana a lot. So for me, I didn't have a lot of, I thought I would be coming to the same Ghana that I was in as a kid. You know, I have a house ready, I'll have everything ready for me. So it would be easy to get a job. I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought it would be easy to get a job. So I didn't really have a lot of hang-ups. But I think, thinking about it now, my parents had a lot of worries. That Ghana is not what I expected or what I think it is, that things are not structural, that whatever I think it's going to be is not what it's going to be. But for me, I couldn't imagine what they meant.
And do you understand that now?
100%, yes.
But you wouldn't change it?
I wouldn't change it, no, because...
You've made the right decision?
100%. Like, I always wanted to move. So even in America, like, even with my job, I couldn't stay on a job for like more than 2 years. I always felt like I wanted to move. But then since I've been in Ghana for almost 3 years now, that restlessness is gone. So it feels like I'm supposed to be here. It feels right.
Do you think anything was missing for you back in the States?
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it, but I think it's connected to the restlessness I was feeling. Something was not, even though I grew up in America, it felt like home, but Ghana also felt like it was calling me. But then when you're here, even though Ghana has changed from what it was, it's still, I feel complete. So I don't know what it is. I think it's a country.
And what was it like as a child migrant growing up in America?
In the beginning, it was very hard because I think when I left the second time around for JSS, it was a hard transition because I was coming from a community of I lived in a boarding house when I was here. And then I go to America, and it felt very isolating as well. And then that also made you want to fit in as much as possible. You didn't want to stand out. You didn't want to sound different. You didn't want to look different. So it was an internal conflict, because then I didn't have anybody to talk to about this. There weren't any other Africans around me that had that experience.
So were you in a community where you were a minority?
I was a minority. I was the only African when we lived in an apartment and when we lived in a house. I had a very isolated upbringing in the home front, and then in school, trying to fit in. It's the little things. You end up seeming or sounding like you're complaining a lot, but most of us are whining. Yes. Most of us like to just vent because we understand that we're not whining, because it's the smallest thing that drives us crazy, just in terms of mentality, in terms of sarcasm, in terms of certain words that you might use that somebody maybe has seen on TV and think this is a bad word, and you think it is everyday word. It's not something that you should take such an offense to. Or somebody will see you as you're spoiled, or somebody will say, oh, you're stuck up, you're this, you're that. Meanwhile, it's just because you're not used to it, it just digs at you, and then you want to express it around someone that understands that you're not taking it out of context, and you don't hate Ghana. Why are you here if you hate Ghana? You have to love this country to be here, and I love this country. That is why I'm here.
But do you think there's a sense that sometimes as diasporans we come back to Ghana or to Africa with this expectation? Is there some kind of truth in that?
Unknowingly or knowingly, you kind of come thinking you know better, without really realizing Ghanaians know better too. They know what works for them. Yeah. I came to Ghana thinking, first of all, I'm not going to bribe anybody. I won't give anybody extra money when I've already paid you for something. And I remember when I was actually moving here, because I came to Ghana once in the whole time that I lived outside of America, I came to Ghana just once. So when I was actually moving here, I remember at the airport, after I've done all the things that I needed to do to move things along, I realized people were expecting. And without even thinking about it, I started giving the money out. And then after I left, I was like, why did I do that? Because it wasn't something that I should have done, because this is how it starts. So then I was telling my parents how just in everyday small things, if you want to get things moving, you have to pay. And I came thinking, I'm gonna be the one person that's different. I'm gonna stand for what is right. I'm not gonna continue the systematic corruption that even in the small forms exists. Yeah. And they were just laughing at me because they knew how naive I sounded at the time. Because you can't, they say do as the Romans do, and I was determined not to. I realized you have to do as the Romans do in Ghana, or you will not get anything done. So that is just one of those things. So we have expectations, but you learn to understand Ghanaian way of doing things more, and then you come in the middle of what you think is right, and in the Ghanaian way, you don't go completely left, you don't go completely right. You find a balance in the middle that sits well with you, because a lot of things still don't sit well with me. You have to know who you are. Yeah. Knowing who I am, if I didn't have the blessings that I have, I would have left. Because even though I always felt like I was hardworking, I've been working since I was 16, the kind of work that we have to do in Ghana, the kind of hustle mentality that you have to have, I never had that. I don't have that. I wasn't raised like that. I've always had a job, I've always worked, I've always known if 1 + 1 = 2. Whilst Ghana, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. You have to be able to think in a sharp kind of way that I didn't develop in America. And I understand that about myself. So for a lot of people, if they can hustle that way, that's great. I just wasn't able to. So I'm thankful for this. So in that sense, if you feel like you are one of those people that can make a huge glass of lemonade out of small lemons, then please, by all means, go ahead and do that. But you have to know yourself. You have to know that if I don't have running water, that is going to mess up my whole life. You have to say, I could use a small pail of water and I'll be okay. You have to just know yourself.
You mentioned something there about having love for your country. How far does that love extend? Where do you see your love for the country in 5 years?
5 years, I hope that I am a lawyer, that I am a practicing lawyer, that I'm able to help people in the legal field, because now that I'm in the sort of legal field, I understand the need for legal minds in the system that we are in. We are a developing nation that has grown exponentially larger than the legal field is equipped to handle. There's just not enough lawyers in the system. So I'm hoping I'm able to finish and contribute in my small way in helping people, and also just, as we say, be a citizen and not just a spectator. So as a lawyer, I believe I can contribute that way, even on an individual, one-on-one basis, where I can see that, they say you don't change the world by setting out to change the world, you change yourself. And the process of being a law student, the discipline that I'm learning to become a lawyer is making me a better person as well. So in that way, I'm hoping that I would have that influence that I want to see reflected in myself as well. I didn't come to Ghana because the government was trying to bring me back. It was a desire within myself. If you haven't experienced Ghana in a long time, the culture shock might be more than you expected. And there's nothing the government can do that can really allow you to experience Ghana in its fullness of what it is in reality. The initiative program that they just took with the diasporans, I felt like it was in the right direction, but that would not be what decides for a lot of diasporans to move back to Ghana. You have to want that. And if you want to dip your toe in it by visiting, that's great. But you have to have that want. And you have to have that mentality that wherever you're coming from, we are still a third world country trying to develop. I feel in my bones that Africa is changing, Ghana is changing in a way that I wanted to be part of.
I stand in an area that possesses great symbolic significance to Ghana's history. The concept of liberation, which I'm surrounded by, can be found in both Comfort and Anita's story. Both ladies, away from their families, are displaying great strength and the ability to survive independently in this country. Comfort and Anita felt unfulfilled in the diaspora, with Comfort speaking about that very period before her move, struggling to get a foot into the animation industry despite having a bachelor's degree in graphic design and a master's in animation from the Royal College of Arts.
I graduated as an animator, so I was trying to find a job in that profession, but I was getting the rejection door. Went to Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, all the other animation companies in London. I was getting all these doors shut in my face, and I was just like, you know what am I supposed to do? I got depressed for a while, so creatively, I wasn't doing anything creatively, but just working.
Anita spoke about loneliness, a feeling of isolation when she first arrived in the States. And now, the acknowledgement of her feeling whole, having returned to Ghana.
In the beginning, it was very hard because I think when I left the second time around for JSS, it was a hard transition because I was coming from a community of living. I lived in a boarding house when I was here, and then I go to America, and it felt very isolating as well. And then that also made you want to fit in as much as possible. You didn't want to stand out. You didn't want to sound different. You didn't want to look different. So it was an internal conflict because then I didn't have anybody to talk to about this. There weren't any other Africans around me that had that experience.
It's hard to imagine looking in from the other side how one can feel dissatisfied in Britain or America. However, beyond these countries' global images of prosperity are narratives which communicate difficulties. With the encouragement of Comfort's sister, the challenges that she faced in Britain prior to her move led her to Ghana. And look at her now, using her artistic talent in an immeasurable and invaluable way. Now, through her art, she is challenging the social issues that are present in African society. Anita sees herself on the pathway to practicing law, being part of the community of lawyers in Ghana once graduating.
In 5 years, I hope that I am a lawyer, that I am a practicing lawyer, that I'm able to help people in the legal field, because now that I'm in the sort of legal field, I understand the need for legal minds in the system that we are in. We are a developing nation that has grown exponentially larger than the legal field is equipped to handle. There's just not enough lawyers in the system. So I'm hoping I'm able to finish and contribute in my small way in helping people, and also just, as we say, be a citizen and not just a spectator.
It's beautiful to witness and to platform what can grow out of reverse migration. The more individuals from the diaspora like Comfort and Anita, whether they relocate or return, the further we can get on with expanding and elevating Ghana. Tomorrow will be my final day as I meet with my last two interviewees.